Welcome to the show designed to give you crypto confidence. Created by the marketing communications specialists at BlockSparks, we want to help you learn about cryptocurrency and blockchain in a safe and friendly place. Because we believe this stuff is far too exciting to leave it to the geeks. Come and join us to learn more. So instead of an interview today, you've just got me talking to you about buying cryptocurrency. Now, I'm going to say the thing now that I say at the end of every episode. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not advising you to buy cryptocurrency. In fact, I'm not a cryptocurrency expert. I'm just somebody who's learned a bit about it, and I'm also somebody who believes strongly in the importance of Bitcoin in particular as the future of money, and in blockchain and decentralized ledger technology generally, to create new paradigms for data and value transmission in the future, possibly the near future. As such, I think there's a strong chance that some cryptocurrencies could be worth a lot more than they presently are. They might be worth a lot more, it could be a big multiplier, but they might not, and I'm not advising you in any way. And while I create a lot of educational content to try and explain the options and possibilities and principles involved, that's for anybody listening to take or leave and evaluate in particular against their own needs. I've got no interest in or mandate for suggesting that anybody listening to this buys any crypto. Everybody's risk tolerance and time preference is unique. However, having said all of that, I am the person that a lot of people come to in the end and ask, so how do I get started buying a bit of this stuff then? And that's the reason that I decided first to write a long blog post about it and now to record an audio version of it to help anybody who has done that research and thinking about it for themselves and reach their own conclusion that they want to go ahead and get started buying a little bit of either Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency. Now, before we get started on that journey together, I will ask you a little bit about why you want to start investing. It's not my business, and I'm not responsible for your choices, but I do feel obliged, if we're friends, just to point out once again how extremely speculative it is, this asset class that you're considering getting involved with. Perhaps it's going to the moon and all our investments are going to increase 1,000-fold. Goodness knows there are enough influencers out there who would try and persuade you of that fact. But the thing you have to bear in mind is that it could also plummet to zero. This is so new and it's so intangible. I would never advise you to invest more than you could afford to lose completely without suffering great pain. Because if there's some black swan event which none of us can foresee, which wipes out digital assets as a category, then you've got to be ready to actually deal with that without it bankrupting you or destroying your future. And furthermore, I would also advise you never to tie up money that you might need to liquidate in a hurry or over a fixed time frame. If this stuff is going to pay off, it's going to do so over a long-term time frame. I mean, we could be talking 2 years or we could be talking 20 years. I really do believe that in that long vision, that this stuff is going to appreciate to the point that it's going to be of real value for us. I really believe there's a strong chance of that. But if you invest money that you might need to get at in a hurry within a couple of years or in response to some circumstances that you know could change in the near future, then you might be forced to sell out at exactly the wrong time. So I would advise you to consider very, very carefully, is this money that you could afford to lose completely and that you can afford to tell yourself is simply inaccessible for a lengthy period that you're not going to be dependent on or needing to dip into anytime in the near future? You can afford to put it into something really speculative that just might change your life long term. Once we'd satisfied ourselves on that, then we could move forward. I would also want to check, if I knew you personally, in all seriousness, I would want to check that you weren't being blackmailed or extorted or being coerced to send money to somebody to whom you were vulnerable for some reason. Because sometimes people use cryptocurrencies as literally as some form of ransom payment for malware or something like that. And if you suddenly started asking me about this stuff that you'd shown no interest in before, particularly if you were asking me about privacy coins like Zcash or Monero when you've never even mentioned Bitcoin in the past, then I'm afraid that red flag would be fluttering quite hard, and I probably would ask you some questions about that. I'm not saying I refuse to help you, but there might be better solutions than just getting cryptocurrency and paying these people. If you were my friend, then it would be a problem shared, and perhaps there'd be a better outcome we could find together. And if you did need crypto to complete an illegal transaction or something, that would be your business and your money. I'd simply want to make sure you understood all the implications of what you were doing and why, and also understood that most cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin included, are not as anonymous as some people might think. So let's say we've had that conversation. We've established that you're acting on your own free will. You've thought long and hard about it. You're sober, you're solvent and considered and ready to make your first cryptocurrency purchase. What would we do next? Okay, well, I'm going to assume that, like a lot of people, you're not an investment expert, that you normally outsource that kind of thing to a professional in the field, that you don't really even have experience of trading for foreign currencies and so on, other than maybe buying some different currencies when you're traveling. If you're used to using Forex marketplaces as on a professional level, then you really don't need my help. You just switch to a brokerage of your choice that offers crypto and everything will look very familiar. But if you tend to leave that stuff to the experts and you've got no idea what to do with a financial chart and all you want to do is buy a bit of crypto and stick it away safely for the long term, then I'm going to suggest the simplest route is Coinbase, which is where I've bought my first bit of crypto a few years ago now. We have a referral link to Coinbase, which I invite you to use. And if you do so, then we both receive a little bit of payment once you start trading. You receive exactly the same as we do, and it helps to support putting on the show. If you want to use our link and support the show in this way, then I invite you to go to cryptoconfidencepodcast.st/Coinbase, and that will take you straight to our referral link. And of course, you'll find a link you can click on in the show notes. If you don't like referral links for some reason, and you don't want that free bit of crypto, then you can simply go to coinbase.com and sign up there. It's really straightforward and easy. Now, as well as some people not liking referral links, a lot of people hate on Coinbase, and there are lots of reasons for that in the crypto world. You're not in the crypto world just now. You're hoping to buy your first bit of Bitcoin, and as such, I recommend Coinbase because it's very like what you're used to, which is a bank. And that's not what cryptocurrency is all about. Cryptocurrency came out of the cypherpunk libertarian backlash against traditional finance institutions and was the original Bitcoin white paper was entitled A Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash System. It was about creating a decentralized digital private way to send value from one person to another. Certainly the Bitcoin white paper didn't mention anything like Coinbase. It didn't mention vast centralized bank-like services with tax reporting and know your customer procedures and custody of your private keys and so on. And for lots of people, that is an absolute defiance of the intrinsic values of cryptocurrency, for whom self-sovereignty and privacy are at the very heart of it. And the thing is, that makes it all quite technically challenging to get to grips with. Now, these early adopters, the pioneers in the space, that's the price they dearly paid for it. And, these are people who were very technically enabled anyway. But there's a contradiction because those early pioneers, they love their libertarian values, but they also need mass adoption too if we're going to have this shift towards more and more people using cryptocurrencies. And there's a contradiction there because most people simply won't get on board until there are easy entry points. And everybody knows that you need those network effects, you need greater uptake and growth, and that will lead to stability in pricing and so on, which benefits everybody. And that means that not everybody is going to want to use complex applications and have to manage cryptography and manage their own private keys and so on. So services like Coinbase are absolutely inevitable. I suppose it's a bit like when AOL first helped people get online on the internet back in the 90s. Suddenly there was this safe kind of walled garden approach where you didn't have as much privacy and control. But for a lot of people, that was their entry step. And then many went further and did far more independent and interesting things with it. And there are some people who are never going to use the internet properly, but, they are very happy using Facebook on their mobile phone and they think that is the internet and so on. And it just, for something to be truly mass adopted, it means accepting that people need different entry points, which make them feel comfortable to engage with something completely new. And this is far more risky than the internet, remember. This is people risking their own money. And that means that for a lot of people, it's got to be something that looks and feels as straightforward and familiar and easy to not mess it up as possible. And then if you start with Coinbase, later on you can graduate to much more complex exchanges where you can trade all sorts of different coins and tokens, or you can graduate to professional trading portals and decentralized exchanges or things like MetaMask. You can go and trade on decentralized exchanges like local CoinSwap, who we interviewed a couple of months ago, which is a great place to buy and sell peer-to-peer from other people. But many people will find that too confusing for their first ever purchase. So, I mean, go and take a look at those exchanges like Binance or local CoinSwap if you're feeling adventurous. But if you look at all those charts wiggling up and down and the red and green lines and so on, and you think, I'm just not ready for this now, or I don't completely understand what's going on, then let's come back and go to Coinbase. I'll keep holding your hand and we'll just get you some stuff bought. And then you can start to explore what you can do with it. First of all, you need to create your account at Coinbase, which is very straightforward to do, especially if you've ever created an online account for anything, anywhere, ever. But you do need, obviously, to pay particular attention to the security aspects here. And you need to think about your long-term goals in terms of your crypto investment. This is why I asked all those nosy questions at the beginning, because it's really important that you don't just think, well, I'm going to experiment with 50 or 100 euros today. I want you to think instead what that might be worth one day in the future, or whether you intend to add to this investment regularly, and basically choose your security or approach your security mindset with that bigger picture in view, so that it's much easier to remove security or slacken things up later if you decide you've done something that's overkill, but it's much harder to add to it if you've set something up that's weak and insecure. So even when you use a centralized service like Coinbase, you're always 100% responsible for your own funds when it comes to crypto. And that login can be the weakest point, if you like. I mean, Coinbase itself is very secure, but how people access your account is pretty much down to you. So the time and the resources you apply to protecting it has to make sense in terms of protecting your assets and what you're risking. So we'll probably do another episode about account security and the kind of things to consider. But for now, make sure you use a strong password, something that's complex, lengthy, and unique. It's very easy to get your browser to generate this, or something like LastPass. And consider setting up two-factor authentication straight away when Coinbase invites you to do so. All this means is that when you log into your account, they'll either send a text message or you'll log into an app like Google Authenticator just to confirm that you are definitely you. And it makes it much, much harder for anybody else to get in. Because if you are you, it just adds a few seconds of extra hassle at each login. But if you're not you, you're not the person holding that device, which is completely separate from the machine you're logging in on, then you won't get in. And it's a really straightforward and simple way to protect your account. And you can come back and set up 2FA later and so on if you want to, but my advice is to bake in that as the minimum level of security from the start. And let's just slow down and do this properly, set it all up right from the start. Then you know that as soon as you have your first bit of actual money of your own within this system, that it's correctly protected. So work your way through the steps. Once you have your Coinbase account and you've verified your email and logged back in using your strong, unique password and not saved it in your browser, you need to get some funds, some normal fiat currency funds like pounds or euros or dollars into your account to start with. And you can do this by connecting a payment source to Coinbase, and there are a lot of options you can explore in the app. They're making it easier all the time, and they're presently rolling out integration with apps like PayPal for both withdrawals and deposits. For now, the main options are to fund your account by bank transfer, which is better value, it can be slightly slower, or by debit card, which is the fastest, but it's not cheap. So have a look at all the options. Again, I'm not going to tell you which one to do. Your money, your decision, your choice, but let's not rush this. You've got to get some money from your bank account or your debit card somehow or other into Coinbase ready to trade. Then you can make the payment once you've looked at all that information and decided. And if you do it from within the app, like with card funding, you will simply enter your debit card details within the app. Or if you're sending money from your bank, you'll make a deposit from the bank itself to do the transfer, like a SEPA transfer in Europe. Depending on the vagaries of that old world money system, of course, this might happen instantly, or it might take 2 or 3 days, because that's simply how it works within traditional banking. And that's why the world needs crypto, just one of the reasons. Believe me, once you start using crypto regularly, you'll find this anachronistic quirk of backs even more annoying. For now, though, you need to get the old money into the place where you can use it to buy the new money, and that's just how it is. So you have to wait for the transfer to do its thing. Once your money's in there, you'll have a lot more options. And it's worth pointing out that in some countries now you can buy crypto directly on Coinbase simply using your debit card. So you hook up the details on your debit card within the app and you don't have to pre-fund a wallet within the app. It's really quick and efficient, and it's quite expensive in fees as well. I have not done this. I strongly feel that slow and steady is the way to go with crypto. Even on entry-level platforms, there's a potential to make mistakes. I prefer not to have a payment source from Coinbase directly into my bank account. I think a staged process of moving funds from the bank to Coinbase, fiat account, and then using that account to purchase crypto is what I prefer. It's what I would personally recommend for your first go. But again, this is all about your own risk tolerance, your own acceptance of risk, your own understanding of the procedures. Obviously, it's slower. If you were trying to catch fast price movements because you were a trader or something, well, you wouldn't be using Coinbase, frankly. If you're just trying to invest in your first bit of crypto, then take it easy, go through the steps, take it slow and steady, and then you'll have the maximum protection. But anyway, at some point, within either minutes or days, you should have a fiat currency balance showing in your Coinbase account. When you look at it, you'll see that you have X number, let's say it's 100 euros, and you'll see a whole bunch of other accounts in there for a range of currencies, all presently set to zero. So you're good to go. You're ready to use that fiat currency, those euros, to buy your first crypto. So what should you buy? Sorry, I'm not going to tell you which crypto to buy. You really need to do your own research here. It was much more straightforward a few years ago when Coinbase offered you basically a choice of the top 3 cryptos, Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. That was it, the top 3 at the time. Then the Bitcoin Cash hard fork happened, and some months later they added that, and then they had to consider Ethereum Classic, which was another fork. You can go back to the crypto alphabet episode about letter F is for fork to understand where they came from, but basically that was just the start, and now there are lots and lots of new tokens on Coinbase. They seem to offer new ones every couple of months. The criteria for getting listed on Coinbase, as with any exchange, is far from transparent, and some inclusions have led to vociferous criticism within the crypto community, but everything within the crypto community leads to vociferous criticism, basically. So it's just a case of finding out and really trying to work out which ones you want to invest in. They used to offer like a bundle product, which was like a fund where you could invest in a basket of top cryptos and it rebalanced it for you. But for some reason, they're not doing that anymore. So you need to do your research and make your own decisions again. And to be honest, that probably is for the best in this space. And bear in mind that Coinbase still lists only a scant fraction of more than 2,000 different cryptocurrencies in existence. And those are ones with big enough volumes to be listed on CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap.com is one place you can start exploring and learning from. And if you have no idea and you just want to spend a couple £100 on a bit of crypto, then I would suggest, but not advise, that you just stick it all in Bitcoin. If you're planning to add to your holdings steadily and grow a portfolio, then you need to put in the time to learn about the different coins and tokens, their use cases, their plans, who's behind them, their history, and all sorts of stuff. So for the sake of this article, I'm going to assume that you did all that research and you sensibly concluded that buying your first little bit of Bitcoin was the place you wanted to make a start today. All the rest of that is up to you in the future, and believe me, it's a fascinating journey. But for now then, you're going to go to the Buy Sell tab in your browser or application and select Bitcoin. I'm not going to describe exactly what the screen looks like because it depends whether you're doing this on your phone, whether you're doing it on a desktop browser, what machine you're using, and so on. Your phone might be the most secure device you own, incidentally, but it works fairly similarly on all of these things, and they change the design from time to time as well. So even in the long written version of this on our website, we don't have any screenshots or whatever. You need to be able to find the Buy and Sell tab if you're going to do this. And once you click into there, you'll be offered a 2-tab view, essentially with buy and sell details on it. So make sure that you've selected buy and that you've selected Bitcoin as what you are buying. And if you have connected your debit card directly, I suggest you deselect that as the payment source at this point and opt for your bank account instead. Opt for your Coinbase account, which has got your bank money in it for all the reasons discussed above. Then you choose how much you want to buy. Now, timing is everything with crypto in lots of ways because it's such a volatile market. You can sit and look at the charts on Coinbase or on any other exchange and just see them going up and down and think, At what moment should I hit buy now? And you can sit there mesmerized, and then you can think, well, I just missed the best moment, and I know, what am I going to do? If you're investing a serious amount, then you would take proper financial advice from someone qualified to give it, not me. But what they might say is to dollar cost average it in. So because you can't predict the volatility, they might say you want to invest $20,000, then they might say, put $20,000 into your Coinbase account and then buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin every week for 20 weeks or something in order to get the maximum advantage from the way prices are changing. There's no point doing that if you're buying 100 quid's worth. There absolutely isn't. So you might as well just enter either the full amount or simply select buy max in the currency box. And then on the right of the screen, it will be transparently broken down for you to show you exactly how much Bitcoin you're buying, less the fees that are involved in the transaction. Now, the business model for Coinbase is that they take a processing fee, and that includes the actual transaction costs from the Bitcoin miners. You can check out a bit more about Bitcoin mining in episode 10, where we talk to Felicity Feynman from Argo Mining, but there is a direct cost in the operation of the blockchain. So bear in mind that some of your fees are going towards that. There is obviously, when you buy through any exchange, not just Coinbase, any exchange that's centralized as opposed to peer-to-peer, there is a spread on the actual conversion, because on a platform like Coinbase, it's a consumer platform, you're offered a spot rate only based on the current cost of the cryptocurrency on the open market. And that price is changing all the time, but it's set by the platform. Once you graduate to their professional platform, Coinbase Pro, or any of its competitors, you'll get a much more complex option. You can put stop loss bids in and margin purchases, even derivatives like options. But on Coinbase today, it's a case of, here's what we're offering to sell you some Bitcoin for right now. And that could change in a few minutes, could go up or could go down. But this is the offer right this minute. Do you want it? Yes or no? Pretty simple. So when you click yes, it happens really quickly. In fact, as you click to confirm your transaction, it's effectively instant. The balance disappears from your fiat wallet and it now shows in your Bitcoin account. At that moment, the two amounts demarcated in crypto as your portfolio balance will be unchanged. Or you can get it to show, say you bought 50 euros worth of crypto, you can basically set your base currency in Coinbase to show all your balances in euros. So you now have exactly 50 euros worth of Bitcoin. It's just in a different account, in a different currency. And the moment you buy it, you have exactly 50 euros worth of Bitcoin. And then within a couple of minutes, I think it's literally about every 3 minutes it refreshes, the Bitcoin price might go up, or it might go down, or it might do both in rapid succession. You can sit and stare at the screen until your eyes go funny, watching it flutter about until you decide that way will quickly lead to madness and basically click off and do something else, because the only guarantee is that it will change. You can't predict whether it's going to go up or down. Remember that long term, that 20-year view. Don't drive yourself crazy. So what are you going to do with it? Well, you can leave it sat on Coinbase, actually, if it's just like a few $100s worth. And yes, I know this is by most yardsticks not good advice. It's not the advice that we normally give about how to secure your crypto assets. But there are lots of reasons for that. And the main thing is that if you do leave it sat on Coinbase, you don't really own that crypto. You don't have direct personal custody of it. However, as we discussed before, that's a big responsibility. Not everybody wants that responsibility, and not everybody wants it straight away. You might want to learn more about the options first. Coinbase, it might be a pretty centralized platform with lots of reasons to criticize it, but it's important to bear in mind it has never been hacked, unlike many other exchanges. Of course, they could be in the future, but, please don't sue me, Coinbase. Anything could be hacked. It's far more likely that your account could be breached by some kind of phishing scam where somebody persuades you to hand over those details by entering them on a phishing site, a site that's not Coinbase.com at all. That's how people tend to get their cryptocurrency stolen. And in fact, one thing you might want to consider, I didn't want to slow you down at the very beginning, is to set up a separate email account to use only for your crypto transactions if you're going to get serious about this, just to minimize that likelihood. And the main thing is now is to just set up your 2FA, practice good password hygiene. But if you're not going to sell it, or send it anywhere or trade it, then there's something else you can enable in Coinbase called Coinbase Vault, which is a bit more secure. It's another layer away, so it takes slightly longer if you do want to do something with it. It's still not in your direct custody, but It's a bit safer, and you could consider this analogous to a deposit account if your regular Coinbase wallet is more like your current account where you can spend more actively. Now, you could send your Bitcoin off to a professional exchange and you could trade it up for more obscure and risky coins. You could invest in something really speculative like a token sale. There are thousands to choose from, and who knows, maybe one will moon and make your fortune. So long as you took my advice never to invest more than you could afford to lose outright, theoretically you can't go wrong. But like I said, your risk tolerance is your business, and doing your own research is your own responsibility. You could send your Bitcoin off the exchange to a wallet. We'll discuss wallets in an upcoming article, but to be honest, if you're going to store it long term, this is going to be the smart thing to do. It could be an app on your phone, it could be on your computer, or it could be on a separate bit of hardware. Such offline hard wallets offer the greatest security, but of course they have a purchase cost, so it's going to depend on the value of the crypto you want to protect. You can leave it on the exchange and then find it increases tenfold, and then decide at that point to purchase a hardware wallet because suddenly it's worth a great deal more than it was when you originally bought it. That's great. At that point, you probably need to take the security a bit more seriously. You can even create a paper wallet to store your private keys in. And that's one of the safest ways in the sense that it's completely offline and unhackable. But whilst paper can't get hacked, it can get lost, it can get damaged, it can get stolen. If people recognize what it is, anybody can access that paper wallet. So all sorts of different security considerations. And which is why I say that at first, simply leaving it on the exchange, particularly if you tuck it into the vault, which is like a wallet on Coinbase, might be the best way forward in the short term. Lots to think about. And as any Bitcoin pioneer, like Andreas Antonopoulos, who we've referenced lots of times, famously says, your keys, your crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. And he's absolutely right. While your funds are on Coinbase, you don't truly hold them. But it's exactly the same as the money on deposit in the bank. They don't keep it sat in a little pile, ring-fenced for you with your name on it in case you need it at any moment. In fact, if you have a large amount of money in the bank and you want it in a hurry, it could take days because everybody's money is effectively mixed together and a lot of it's lent out to other people as well. It's only the bank's accounting that distinguishes who holds title to what. And if too many people want to take their money out at the bank at once, really bad things can happen, as many remember from living through the 2008 financial crisis. So really, yes, Coinbase is a lot like a bank. It behaves in the same way. It can't lend out your money on a fractional reserve basis like your banks. So you can probably fairly safely leave moderate amounts of crypto there. And do remember that even after living through that financial crisis of a decade ago, most of us do still trust banks with our old-fashioned money, at least as they're protected by various government guarantees. And we offset the risks of them making serious mistakes against the risks of us having to actually manage that money if we had piles of cash or how are we going to store it? Are we going to lose it? Are we going to get robbed if we try and keep it stuffed in the mattress? So that's how many people look at services like Coinbase Vaults, like a bank account or a safety deposit box, representing a degree of handing off the security which they feel comfortable with. Anyway, your crypto. You decide. And these are issues that we will continue to discuss in the future. The important thing is now that you hold a bit of Bitcoin or a bit of whatever you bought. You're invested, you're part of the future of money, and the exciting journey is only just beginning. We really hope that you'll carry on learning with crypto confidence. Tell us what you want to learn about. Do you want to hear about wallets and what to do with it? Do you want to learn how to trade that and do more interesting things with it on the open markets? We're here to help you. We'll give you the best advice we can about everything except investing. And we want to see you joining the crypto revolution and being part of it. Today we return to the crypto alphabet after a little bit of a gap. And I apologise for the break in this service, particularly to Carla from London, who wondered where it had disappeared to. The simple fact is that we've had so many really long, interesting interviews to bring you. We try to keep the show to the same overall length each week so that you as the listeners know what to expect. And as we've had some lengthy interviews as well as special episodes where we featured other content, the alphabet's had to take a little bit of a backseat for now. But I did want to pick it up again, and here we go again today with the letter N, which is where we'd got up to, or where we'd left off just before. Now, today then, N is for network effects. So we could have gone for defining nodes or something really concrete like that for the letter N. But as our audience is learning and growing with us, we know there's a need for more creative understanding of some of the quite abstract stuff, which really underpins what makes things like cryptocurrency work. So today we decided to have a look at network effects. Now, you get a network effect when the number of people using a thing is something that makes it better for everyone. Obviously, we're relating that to money and crypto, but for now, let's think about something which might make it easy to grasp, and that's a messaging app. Imagine you're the first person in the world to download something like WhatsApp to your phone, or you're just the first person in your own circle of friends and contacts. So you get the idea of it, but still everyone you know is still using native SMS messaging apps instead. You could message on WhatsApp for free, except that you've no one to message, you've no one to send the message to. So it's really no use to you whatsoever. So you sit there with it on your phone and you can't use it. But then eventually someone else gets on board. We'll call them person A, and maybe you told them about it, or maybe they just popped up on your contacts or whatever. But at last you can message that person and they can message you. And the application has some value to you at last. It's still only a communication between two people, just one other point of contact, but it's better than nothing, right? Then a third person comes along, person B, and this is where it starts to get interesting, because one more person getting involved has actually more than doubled the number of possible connections. Where there was just one connection before between you and person A, there are now three, because you can connect directly with person B, and also A and B can contact each other directly. And when person D logs on, all of a sudden there are 6 possible connections. And by the time you get to 12, there are 66. This is an example of a specific aspect of network effects called Metcalfe's law in action. If you want the formula, you can Google it, or you can draw dots on pieces of paper and connect them with a ruled line and count them. But it's getting a bit abstract, and I promise we're not going to get into the algebra. But what matters here is that the number of users increases in a linear way. You add one at a time. Whereas the number of network connections grows much, much faster. In fact, it grows in an exponential way. And the two important takeaways for crypto are that, firstly, the number of connections grows a lot faster than the number of participants, as we said. But secondly, each new person who gets on board benefits all of the others. This is absolutely critical for any project trying to create a new economy or a new currency. So think about it. Adoption and uptake are essential because money fundamentally relies on network effects. Unless everyone in the community uses and agrees about what it's worth, money's not really worth anything. It's just representing other commodities after all. As Noah Yuval Harari pointed out in Sapiens, a book we discussed in our recent World Book Day episode, money's just a story we tell ourselves collectively as a society. It doesn't have any objective worth. But even though users of our new network, whether that's a network of communication like WhatsApp or one of value like cryptocurrency, will eventually benefit from the network effect, that won't attract them in the first place, not those first users, because there isn't a network yet. People need a different reason. And developers, therefore, need to understand the human psychology of adoption behaviours here, because they'll have to persuade those adventurous, earliest of adopters, the innovators, who can see the potential to get on board at an early stage and commit. And then they'll have to get them to evangelise and propagate the idea to their own contacts. If you download this messaging app, we can contact each other for free. If you get some of this cryptocurrency, we can exchange value with each other in a trustless, censorship-resistant peer-to-peer way. Each one who joins increases the value of the network for everyone else. Of course, this is only one way of looking at the direct implications of network effects, and there are many complexities here. Indirect network effects. For example, if I'm an Airbnb customer, I'm indirectly affected by other customers joining the network because that increases the demands for properties. I might be more directly affected by other properties coming on board, but the effect of the user community growing has an indirect effect on me. Many business models which rely on network effects to increase their potential have to prime the pump in some way, incentivizing the earliest users who haven't got the benefit of the network to drive their uptake. In the crypto world, this might be through airdropping gifts of tokens to the earliest users, same as a developer might offer a prize draw to drive downloads of a new app which is dependent on growing its network quickly. So there you go, that's network effects. Now you can mutter knowingly about them and understand something pretty important about money and how humans connect and are stronger together, which most people haven't really taken any notice of, even though it's going on all around them all the time. Thank you for being part of the Crypto Confidence Show network effect, for spreading the word, for being part of our community. Thanks for listening to Crypto Confidence. If you like what you hear, please do consider leaving us a review via your favourite podcasting app and joining the conversation online in whichever way you prefer. Full contact details are in the show notes for this episode. And remember, nothing in this podcast or our related social media, nor anything else published by BlockSparks OU at any location, is intended as financial, investment or trading advice. Everything we write or say represents our personal opinions for your information, education and entertainment only. You should not make any decisions based on anything we share with you, not without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with appropriate professional advisors. Crypto Confidence is all about being smart and informed and making the right choices for you.